Welcome to a brand new episode with Mona Gayatri. Have you ever experienced this? Someone who was once a big part of your life, someone you spoke to almost every day, someone who knew your thoughts, your routines, your life stories, and then suddenly they are gone. No dramatic fight, no clear explanation, no big goodbye, just distance. The call stops, the message becomes shorter, the energy changes, and slowly the connection fades away. And you are left with the strange silence, wondering what happened? Did I do something wrong? Why did this person disappear from my life without even giving a warning? Most people believe when someone leaves our life, something must have gone terribly wrong. We think there must have been a mistake, a misunderstanding, a conflict somewhere. But the truth is, sometimes nothing went wrong. Life simply completed a chapter. Not every person who enters your life is meant to stay in forever. Some people come to teach you a lesson, a karmic closure. Some come to awaken a part of you that was sleeping. Some come to help you grow through a phase of your life. And once that phase is complete, the connection naturally changes. But here is the part that hurts the human heart the most. Our mind wants a closure. We want answers. We want the final conversation where everything is explained neatly so we can understand it. Our mind keeps replaying the past, looking for clues. We remember small moments, small words, small changes in the tone, trying to decode when things started shifting because uncertainty is uncomfortable for the mind. The mind wants logic, but life does not always operate through logic. Sometimes life ends chapters quietly, sometimes silence itself becomes the ending, and that silence can feel very painful because when someone disappears without warning, it activates something deeper inside us. It touches our fears of rejection, it triggers our fear of not being enough, it makes us question our worth. Suddenly the mind starts telling stories. Maybe I said something wrong, maybe I wasn't important enough, maybe they found someone better, maybe I was just convenient for them for a while. And these stories can be very heavy because they slowly start shaping how we see ourselves. But what if the story is not about rejection at all? What if the story is simply about timing and growth? Sometimes life removes people not as punishment but as redirection, because when two people meet, they meet at the version of themselves that exists at that moment in time. But people evolve, people heal, people grow, and sometimes two people who once walked perfectly together start walking in different directions without realizing it. One person may be evolving into a new phase of life, the other may still be connected to the old version of that relationship. And when the shift becomes too big, life creates distance. Many times we think someone leaving means the connection was fake. But that is not always true. A connection can be real and still temporary. Think about your school friends. Think about colleagues from a job you once had. Think about someone you once shared long conversations with. At one time, they were a significant part of your life. Yet today, you rarely speak to them. That does not mean those moments were meaningless. It simply means that chapter served its purpose and then gently closed. Sometimes, when someone leaves, space is created in your life, and that space feels uncomfortable in the beginning because we were used to their presence. We are used to their energy filling that space. But in that empty space, something important starts happening. You begin meeting new versions of yourself. You start understanding your own emotional patterns. You start seeing the relationship more clearly from a distance. Things you couldn't see when you were inside the connection suddenly become visible. Distance has a strange way of revealing truths. Sometimes you realize the relationship had already run its course and long before it ended. Sometimes you realize you were holding out of a habit, not alignment. Sometimes you understand that the version of you who needed that connection no longer exists. and life quietly made room for the next stage of your journey. If you look back honestly at your life, you will notice something very interesting. There were people you once believed you could never live without. At that time, their absence would have felt impossible to imagine. Yet today, they are no longer part of your daily life, and still life continues. You continued, you grew, you changed, new people entered, new experiences unfolded. What once felt like a painful ending slowly became just another chapter in your story. This is one of the quiet truths about life. Sometimes the people who leave your life create the exact space needed for your next transformation, because certain relationships are connected to certain versions of you. And when you evolve, not every connection can evolve with you. Some people are meant to walk with you only until a certain point on the road. After that point, the journey becomes different. So, if someone has quietly disappeared from your life, instead of only asking why they left, try asking a deeper question: what did this connection bring into my life? What did it teach me about love, boundaries, growth, or even about myself? Because when you shift the question like that, something inside you begins to soften. The story no longer becomes about abandonment or loss, it becomes about evolution. Life is constantly reorganizing people's situations and experiences in ways we often cannot control, understand immediately. Sometimes what feels like a sudden loss is actually life making space for something more aligned with with who you are becoming. And often you only understand the meaning of certain exists much later in life, when you look back and realize nothing meaningful was taken away from your life. Life was simply clearing the path for the next chapter that was waiting to unfold. If you can relate to this, and if you want to talk about this, if you have stories in your heart which you have never been able to share with anybody, or not uh, release them from, and they have become sat in your heart like a deep seated trauma, just comment that you wish to talk to me, and we can have a chat and release that trauma from within. Bye bye, see you tomorrow for next episode. Like, share, and subscribe.